Tywin, Knight of Lefundus, searching for his king who has been poisoned. A story that could have been so interesting about Tywin's journey to find his king and save his life. Going through the mass geography, trying his absolute best to stay alive until he can see his king and save him. But instead we get this side story where the guy is poisoned and you figure out that he's only slightly poisoned, not really poisoned, and nothing really changes from the beginning to the end. Yeah. Y'all hear that in the background? I've been trying to do this skip for so long, and this motherfucker keeps mowing the lawn in parts. Like, yo, just finish the lawn. Just finish it. Do it in one go. What's going on, guys? It is your boy Cash, and we are here today for the Tywin guide. Hope you guys enjoyed the intro. It was really fun to make, and I'm gonna start to do more fun stuff with these guides. But first and foremost, English is a hard language. After that, let's talk about this man, and we're gonna first start off with, of course, the base stats. It's really important to note his base stats as a AoE defense break. We just covered Lulu. So with AoE defense breakers, you want them to go first, AoE defense break, and then someone else follows up right after that. Now, Tywin's speed is 110, which is really good, and especially for a knight, by the way. Like, that's kind of crazy. I mean, there are some knights that are quicker than him, but they obviously do different things. So 110, he has a base health of 6,751. So as you remember in the Lulu guide, we did compare his speed to the other ones, and he's about sort of in the middle. So you can speed him up, but it's very unlikely that he will go first. So you have to keep that in mind. He's very likely to go second, just because even no matter how much speed you stack onto him, there are other characters that are just naturally faster and will very likely outspeed him. He has 648 defense. And he also, through Awakening, because I can toggle this on, toggle it off, he gets effectiveness, and we'll see why in the skills section, because it's very important to note how he actually works and how important it is to have this guy on the team and what he's meant to do.
Do I need my sword?
Woo! Do I need my sword? My man is confident, okay? My man is confident, and I like that. He's very, if you look in the story, he's very like a strict knight, all about that business. But we need to know what kind of business this man is bringing off the jump. So his S1 is going to be the Sword Storm. One of the reasons why I fell in love with him is like he had this really cool animation when he actually swings his sword.
Leave it to me.
But what does it do? It actually attacks with the Sword Storm with a 50% chance to dispel one buff. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's max HP. So as you can see here, it starts off with 50. It is going to end at 75, which makes him a very reliable debuffer, because on the S1, obviously that means S1 dual attacks and counter attacks make it that he will always be attempting to take off that boof if you need him to. So that's gonna make him good for a hunt, not a hunt, but as a macro hunt. That hunt is gonna be good for him. Not really so great for the Wyvern outside of his S3, which we'll go to in a minute, but his S1's really good. Having a buff strip on the main skill is really, really good and reliable, and that's kind of one of his great things. I feel like there's no wasted move in his kit. I feel like some people, when you go over their skills, there's always that one move is like, no. Tywin is a complete package. He's a complete man. He's a complete man. So let's go over to the S2.
The strength to fight back.
S2, the commanding shout.
Time to fight. Do I need
Super
my
stacked.
sword?
Yes, you need your sword. All right, commanding shout grants increased attack and crit hit chance to the caster and an ally for 2 turns, and increases their combat readiness by 30%. So this move, the skill, is obviously really good. It's not an AoE buff. It gives it to himself, greedy, and gives it to another ally. Obviously, this is most likely going to be going to the other target. Your DPS is usually going to be the one that you're going to share this buff with. As you can see, the only thing that you can give it is +2 souls acquired, so you can make this give you 3 souls. And I know sometimes people really don't care too much about the soul, but soul burning is a mechanic in this game, and when skills on lowish cooldowns give you really good amount of souls, it makes them really good for dungeons to build that up, especially in the midst of a fight after you done use Arky 16 times and then all of a sudden you get him back and then you can finish someone off. So it's really important to note that as well when something gives you a S2 that gives you like 3 souls. Like usually most of the time the S1 gives you 1, sometimes even the S2 will only give you 1, maybe 2, but this one gives you 3. And then of course you're really hustling down to get that for the cooldown so you can actually have it on a 3-turn cooldown. The combat readiness push that it gives you, which is obviously really great. I mean, there's not much. You give it to your attacker who is obviously slower than him because you're going to be building them up on some type of speed. Give them attack, give them crit chance buff in this game is 50% crit. So as far as team building goes, you're pretty much if you know you're going to pair them with Tywin, you don't need to invest too much in crit chance, which is beautiful. That means you can worry about other stats because you're having a reliable source of crit chance given to him. Last but not least, the all-out attack.
Victory is calling me. Leave it to me.
Funny enough, when I was looking for pictures and stuff like that of this guy, people were complaining that his S3 does not look good.
Never miss.
Like they need to make it better. I mean, this part of it kind of sucks.
Ready.
And it's like he's commanding the knights from the fundus to like shoot and spray at his command. I mean, it was okay, but it's definitely lackluster. It's like a really lackluster. But what does it do? Increases attacks all enemies in again after a sword storm with a 75% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns and increase defense of the caster for 3 turns. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's max HP. So we have an AoE max HP scaling move that gives him a defense buff, which gives him some staying power, and has obviously the AoE defense break for 75%. Now, this was a more recent change to him, is that once you actually scale this up, it will be 100%, which is obviously good news. You can see a lot of damage dealt increases in there as well, and of course a lower cooldown. But the biggest baddest thing that you want to see here is that the soul burn is actually an extra turn. So what's absolutely amazing about Tywin is you can also pair him with a mage, and the mage doesn't have to be the DPS, there just has to be a mage on the team. Start your fights off with the artifact that gives you 20 souls. So he goes first, he'll be one of your ones that go first. Like I said, he might go second, or you can bring in a CR pusher. He's fast, Tywin's fast, CR pusher pushes him up, then he S3s first, gets as many defense breaks as possible, so then you S2 your cleave unit, or you know, it could be your single target DPS, whatever you want, and then boom, they're getting crit chance and attack. Something is going to die. There's no doubt that with Tywin, something will die if that's the setup that you're using. It's almost foolproof. Obviously, the only issue is that he is water, so he might not defense break a wind earth unit in this game because he has a 50% chance to miss. But outside of that, it's just a really good setup, especially when you soul burn it on the turn 1. That is like his best combo. But obviously you can even do that later on in the midst of a fight. He's just sitting there, he's stripping the buffs from the enemies, he's using the S2 as at will because it's a low cooldown, and he's giving combat readiness, and he's generating a lot of souls. You see how crazy that is, that his S2 gets more souls than his S3? That's very uncommon, by the way. So that's his whole setup. That is how his move rotates. You pretty much S3, S2, or if it depends on the combat readiness bar, like how it is right over here, depending on the turn order, you might just S2 your character so they can go, depending, like you go first. Like let's say it's Dizzy. I was like, dang, I need Dizzy to go first. I don't have the artifact to give myself 20 souls, but I need Dizzy to go, hurry up and do that S2, push everyone back, yada yada yada. So you at least have the option. So, and then as they're buff, if there are any buffs that the enemy's team is using in PvP and even in PvE, at least you have a stripper also in the mix. This guy is stacked. Now, I know people are like, should I summon for him? I'm not going to tell you whether or not to use your Sky Stones or not. But as far as if you have this character or if you did summon for him, he is actually stacked. Like I said, there's no wasted moves on this man. He is here to fight and he's here to get the dub. Speed is king, but of course you gotta mention it every single time that you can. Speed is obviously really good for an AoE defense breaker. It's not rocket science here, ladies and gentlemen. You're gonna wanna put speed down on him so that he can go first, if not at least second. If he goes first, then the gear sets on everybody else on the other team is bad. But yes, usually you wanna use a CR pusher. He at least needs to go second if that is your goal. He's one of the Cleave team's dream unit. If you wanna have 2-second arena fights, that's what you're doing. A good secondary set, I would have to say, would have to be the HP set. You know, he has the speed, just he needs to stay alive. He does have 2 skills, the S1 and the S3, that do scale off of his HP, so it's obviously going to be really good if you get his HP a little bit higher. Again, most of this is going to be focusing on the substats. When you are doing it, you're looking for HP, you're looking for effectiveness, which is also going to be a good substat depending on the substats that you have on your gear. You need HP, effectiveness, and speed. That's pretty much all you need on this character as far as if you want him to just be effective. Those are the 3 things that you're looking for. Effective resistance is, you know, good if it's on there, but those are the 3 things that you're primarily looking for in his gear. And the reason why I wouldn't suggest counterattack is because not every time you're going to be hit by a character that has a skill, like that has a buff on them, so there's no real reason to like prioritize that and lose the free stats of getting HP or effectiveness. So I would just suggest against that. My favorite artifact time. So what I like mostly about the artifacts that can go on Tywin is that the Knight ones are one of my favorite. I think Knights and Soul Weavers are like literally the best artifacts in the game. First, we're going to start off with Holy Sacrifice. Really good because if I mentioned this before in my last night video, obviously, is that when you die and you get revived by Holy Sacrifice, you do not lose your spot in the combat readiness thing. So if you're gonna go next and then you get sniped, he's water, there are Bikins everywhere. Bikin snipes you out, they're like, ha, I won, I'm good, and then he comes back and his turn is still right there, and then you do that same meta game plan. Really good. Obviously it's also good because if a long drawn out fight is happening and then he comes back and he can still help you guys out, stripping the buffs, busting the combat readiness, attack crit chance buffing, and also of course defense breaking. So really good stuff. Ilbris Ritual Sword, I do like it, although it's just kind of weird to have it on him because it's like, yes, something else attacked and then you're attacking pretty much to strip the buff off of them, but I feel as though it's good because you're gonna put Tywin in situations, if you want him as a stripper, you're specifically putting him in there, so you're gonna say, hey, I want him to also strip more often. This is probably more of a PvE tech than I would say anything else, because Holy Sacrifice is for pretty much anything. This is more specifically for PvE because you wouldn't want to keep changing this on and off when you realize that the team doesn't have any buffs that you're fighting in PvP. Noble Oath is just a great one. As his health decreases, he's harder to kill. He also brings himself a defense buff, so the free effective resistance, because you're already going for 3 things, like I said, HP, effectiveness, and speed, so getting some defense and effectiveness as you lose health is pretty much a good to go for me. Justice for All is a decent artifact. I just don't like it because it's just like, in comparison to other ones, this is like a random chance. If you have it maxed out, you always get a buff, and that's obviously good. But his whole job is, you know, to be fast. If you're going PvP fast and stuff, this doesn't really help him do anything that helps him with that. So it just seems a little weird to have this one. It's just really strange. I think the artifact itself is just really strange, outside of having it on Charles, obviously. Sword of Ezra is obviously PvE focused. If he's your main tank, you're gonna slap this on if you're having any type of difficulty. Adamant Shield, a lot of people don't like using this. They usually just was like, just use C Armin, but pretty much this is equipping the C Armin passive onto a unit. So if you hate the PvP meta and tired of getting crit and dying, you would use this. But for Tywin, it would be kind of weird because, like I said, you're trying to build him fast. You really should gear yourself towards that and then really embrace that. But this is more for a slow sit there and tank for 8 years kind of thing, and I feel like Tywin doesn't necessarily fit that role. On the other hand, the Hillig Lance is a perfect one for him because let's say he actually does get outsped and they're single target attacking an ally, he will get combat readiness for it, and then his turn will come quicker. So Hillig Lance is actually, in my opinion, one of the best options for him. Because, like I said, you get outsped, they sit there and try to nuke out a target, and whether they kill it or not, hopefully they don't kill your DPS because that's the whole gimmick that you're trying to go for, and then boom, they sit there, and then great. Also, it's great when they are trying to avoid Tywin in general because he's tanky, and then you just keep getting combat readiness. Now they have to choose between either killing you or trying to kill the other enemy, your other ally, and giving you combat readiness boost, which is going to bring up the defense break, which is going to bring up the combat readiness boost on your attack unit. So they have to really be picky once they start seeing that you have this artifact. So I think one of the best options. I shouldn't even mention this because it's just Oris. Like, you see it everywhere. Take damage, lessen the damage of your allies. It's great. Pretty much the slap it on and nothing bad will happen. No one will complain. Cursed Compass is some brave stuff. You kind of technically could run it. The only thing that I've always been confused about, and you guys can confirm this, it would help me out a lot. Now it says effectiveness is increased by 25 up to 50% when attacking on the first turn, but I'd have to ask, does it matter if you actually get the first turn, or is it first of your turns? I've always been confused about that. Can please somebody correct me on that? That'd be fantastic if someone can correct me on that. But I've always not wanted to use this because I felt like if I can't guarantee the first turn, then there's no purpose of using Cursed Compass. But I've seen people use it on, I would see, like slower-esque units that are not going to get turn one. So if anyone can give me that information, I would greatly appreciate it. I think Eggs of Delusion is really good. As long as it's early in the game, you have your tanky to start off the fight, giving him some survivability just in case. And still one of my favorite artifacts as far as if you need him to tank, you don't have some of the other options that we mentioned earlier. Envoy's Pipe is one of the best damage mitigation artifacts that is 3-star that you can max out and enjoy the benefits of. And that's going to be it for our boy, our young man, Tywin. What did you guys think? Hopefully you guys are slightly more informed and maybe there was something that you didn't think about or anything like that. I think that, you know, he's pretty basic of a character. That's why this guy's not going to be like terribly long or anything of that nature, but he seems like a really basic character, but he just has a amazing kit. His kit is just really good. You can't deny that his kit, if you have this character, it's very likely you should kind of have him built up. Summoning for him is a little bit hard because, again, that's why I never will tell people to summon for characters, because your account is your account. What you have and need is different from what I have and I need. So just keep that in mind as you guys are out there. Be safe, and hopefully you were able to watch this video and not fall asleep during the side story like I did. Oh my god, my king's poison. See you guys in the next video. Peace.